right? So what are you dreading in your life at the moment? Probably it's something that is unfinished business, or something that is hurtful, or just something that is not in place, something you're waiting for. Probably it's just a longing and a aching that you have in your heart. So I want us to breathe in, and then we breathe out, and then we will allow ourselves to feel, to just allow ourselves to feel that dread, to feel that fear, to feel that uncertainty, to feel that confusion. Allow yourself to just be in this space where you're inviting those emotions, you're welcoming them, instead of resisting them and fighting them. Because procrastination is one of the ways we usually dissolve our tensions. And then you're like, I don't want to deal with all the emotions that come with this project or this thing. And so I'll just put it aside. And so today we want to give ourselves permission, because this is one of the skills that we will learn in a practical way on how to deal with procrastination in our lives, and any other fear that we need to confront, even if it has nothing to do with procrastination. So I want you to sit up if you can, depending on where you are. Just try as much as possible to make sure your back is straight. You have an open posture in terms of your hands are on your laps. And then I want us to breathe in. So you'll take a very deep breath. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Breathe in, and then breathe out. And then I want you to allow yourself to take a warrior posture. And a warrior posture is that space where I am assuming for now, in the next few minutes, I'm confident, I'm courageous, I'm not afraid of anything. And then I want you to start inviting everything that you're dreading, everything that you're fearing, anything that is not in place, even places that you're feeling stuck. We're going to allow ourselves to feel that in this moment. And so just want you to think about, what are you worried about, whether it's in your personal life, probably it's your intimate relationships. Something that is not in place, allow yourself to feel that. Just allow me to mute everyone so that we can have a clear recording. So for example, it's at work, maybe there are conflicts and things that you've not landed, things that you're just feeling unsettled about. Allow yourself to experience that as well. You just experience that tension of even feeling like you're not enough, you're not doing enough. Some of us have a place where we're trying to really working hard to prove ourselves in some places in our lives, probably even at work, like you're just spending sleepless nights. Even for your business, some of us, things are challenging, and you're just in that space where you're feeling like, I feel like I'm just on this hamster wheel, just moving but not making progress. I feel like I'm working so hard and nothing's forthcoming. And that frustration, allow yourself to feel it. There are so many emotions that come from different spaces in our lives, and just different situations we are going through. There's no uniformity in our emotional space. It's always a buffet of emotions, because we're going through different emotions in different areas of life. So allow yourself to feel, even your family of origin, what's happening there, what's the dynamic of your sibling relationships with your sisters and brothers, with your parents. Allow yourself to feel that tension as well. If it's not a happy place for you, it's fine. Invite it. And you're like, yeah, this is my reality. I feel rejected. I feel left out. Just allow yourself to feel everything that you're dreading in your life at this moment, because all those things are related. Everything is related. How I show up at work, I'm carrying all those other spaces in my life. How I show up at my business, I'm carrying all those other spaces in my life. They suck out energy. Sometimes they energize me if they are positive places I'm coming from. Just be aware without judging whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Just be aware. Just allow those emotions to flood in. Keep on thinking about all the things you're worried about, concerned about, probably even it's where you're living, with their conflicts with the other tenants, or probably even neighbors with your own home. I have friends who will say, like, probably are very nasty neighbors in our gated community. They just drive me crazy, but I can't move. I've already paid for this house. Whatever your story is, just allow yourself. Sometimes you may be coming from a place where you don't validate yourself. We just mute those who are coming in. There are many times in our lives that you may be living in a space where you don't validate yourself enough, because you feel like this is childish, or I should just brush this aside. But tonight is that night where we validate everything. And we're like, yeah, all these concerns are genuine. Everything I'm feeling, this is a space where you're allowed to be petty, because all those things matter in the holistic perspective of your life. So just allow yourself to feel all the dread in your life. Then the dread of parenting. Sometimes you feel like you don't give your children enough time because you're so busy trying to take off things from the ground. You're just trying to grind and push ahead with your goals. Allow yourself to feel that dread as well. Sometimes you get a phone call from the school, or maybe someone makes a comment and you're like, wow, I think I'm really failing in this mommy job. Just allow yourself to feel that dread in your life at the moment, in every part and in every way. All right. Then I want you to breathe in so that you can just allow yourself to be grounded again. Breathe in. Breathe out. This time when you're breathing in, I want you to take in all those things. Just allow yourself to validate your own space, validate your concerns, validate your pain, validate your disappointments, validate all those emotions that you've experienced. And then when you're breathing out, you're just releasing them because you're just like, I'm so glad I'm still in charge. I'm still in control. I'm able to handle this. It's something that is still within my charge. And even if you don't feel like so, I just want you to believe that statement, because that is one of our truths tonight, that I'm in charge of my life. And so breathe in and allow yourself to take in all those things that you've thought about. Breathe in, validate your reality, and then breathe out. Just release it. And then breathe in again. Breathe in, take a deep one. And then breathe out. Release it. Awesome. And then I want you to list down. So probably you have your notebook. If not, you can just use your phone if it's nearby, or even if you're on your laptop, just open a note, probably the OneNote or a notepad quickly, and then you can write. Or if you have a notebook nearby, you can grab one and you list down top 3 reasons on why you think you procrastinate. All of us know, we just have some idea. Like, these are the main reasons why I just don't get things done. This is how I back out on things. This is how I keep on pushing things forward that I know I need to do. So list down top 3 reasons on why you struggle with procrastination. So I'll give you 2 minutes. We'll just be having a timer here. And then when you're done, we move to the next thing, next thing, next thing. So we're writing down top 3 reasons on why you think you procrastinate. Make it a bit easier for you and just put on the music we had. So James just helps you calm down and all right. So I hope we are done. just 3 things and places that you feel you've been procrastinating. You had more, amazing. Sometimes we need to really dig in to just get to the bottom of it. Yeah, and we will definitely keep on piling up the reasons as we go ahead. I want to share my story. Of course, probably some of you have seen this book. We had this book launch 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's 2 weeks now. And I just want to share it as part of my procrastination story. So of course, whatever we see, that is why social reels should not intimidate one, because we are only seeing the success bit, but we're not seeing the whole picture and the whole story. So first of all, this is a book that I wrote 2 years ago. And then, of course, by then I was employed. So I translated 2 nights to just having this inspiration on the book concept. And so I outlined all of it. But of course, there's all these bits of research and just getting to the bottom of everything. And it was a lot of work. I am not a research, like research is not my sweet spot. And so I'm not a research savvy. It's not something I enjoy doing. I put it off for as long as I can. And then, of course, I did the first draft and printed it last year, April. And then, of course, gave it to a few people to give me some book reviews. I got it. And then I was like, this is a lot of work. These people don't know how much energy and effort went into writing this book. They're still giving me more suggestions on things I need to change. And then, of course, next year, Quishas, and then this year begins. Of course, when I was planning my goals, I usually plan my goals for the whole year. And so I just do a block of all the things that I want to achieve this year. And this book launch was just like, perhaps you need to get this book off your hands, because I have other book drafts I've done that I also want to give focus on and probably just take them off and think through them more. But I was feeling like this was one of my mental blocks. And so, of course, the first quarter, I was just stuck. I was like frozen, and I was like, honestly, I'm not touching this book. Of course, I've also taken off so many things this year in terms of creating new programs, new coaching programs, and just really researching to just do things differently as well. On top of that, there is this program that I am in here, the Evoke Global, which is really amazing. And so in the scope of all these things, I usually go for retreats every month. And so when I go for that retreat, I look back at last month, and then I also plan next month. And then I try to plan 2 months ahead, but I review 1 month backwardly. And so I was like, wow, this book launch is supposed to happen. I don't feel like I have anything in me to get it going. And of course, in April, that is when I started getting a board back community. It has 900 women. I'm just like, this is too much. And then I was like, okay, this is the time that I need to really put my big girl pants and just get all these things going. And so I was like, yes, the Get Your Ball Back is still here, but I'll still go ahead and plan the book launch. And so we started the committee meetings. When I was in the retreat, I put a start date on, we'll start committee meetings on this day, this day, this day. This will be the chairman. These are the people I will invite so they can help me plan this book launch. And then, of course, we are there. We've started. I'm just frozen. I'm just like, do I even want to do this book launch? And so it's already, we met on 11th. That was the first time we met to start planning, because I was still in that procrastinating mode. And then now I got into this, because remember, there's so many reviews into this book that I had not done. I had not done the references. I had not done the facts, because it required a lot of research. Being a children's book, like, you need to be factual. You don't just share your opinions on things. And so just going back and doing all that research, I remember how many 3 a.m.s I had to do, because normally my creativity peaks at night. I'm a night owl. But then I also had this mental block where in the evening, I'm so tired, I'm not able to focus. And so I had to force myself, drag myself out of the bed. I'll come and sit here on the dining table from 3 a.m. up to around 8. By then the kids are home for holidays. And then time just flew. So what happened is the fact that I had to trade editing this book with marketing. And of course, when you're inviting people to a book launch, you're not a celebrity, so you don't assume that they just know, oh, it's Paps, and then they will come. And so that was mistake number 1. So of course, I had many people who were helping me plan. So I was like, okay, so you guys, I think you run with the communication, because I'm not even done editing the book. Like, I just need to focus on one thing first. And then, of course, they did their best and nothing was forthcoming. Like, the responses, the responsiveness of people attending the event was not good. Even 2 weeks to the event, like, we didn't have any significant signups. And of course, I started panicking. And then, of course, we are printing the draft of the book. There are so many things to be edited. Trust me, I think this book got lined up on Wednesday. when the book launch was on Saturday. That is when finally I felt like this book is good enough. And I remember the chairman was like, perhaps this book will not be perfect, but you need to just go ahead and, give it a shot first. And then if you need to do anything else in future, you will do. But you just need to get it off your hands. And when I woke up on Wednesday, that is when I was like, wow, like it's like I've not been part of the group planning the book launch. It's like my head was just somewhere else. And that is when I'm like, wow, so I've not even decided the theme for the event. So on Wednesday, that is when you're telling everyone, guys, this will be an African event because this book is about mentoring 21st century teenagers in Africa. So we'll do all African. And of course, we still winged it. But then as we shall be looking at it today, it's to see that there are so many things that fall in the cracks when we are flying last minute and just doing things last minute because we were procrastinating. And honestly, looking back, was there something better that I would have done? I remember even Diana, when I told her I want to do a book launch, she was like, you need to plan a book launch 6 months before the event. I'm like, yeah, but I want to do it now. So just thinking of myself, if probably I'd started planning this book launch probably last year, or maybe if I decided to do it later in the year, but you see now my argument was like I was stuck and I just wanted to get it off my hands, which was still a good cause. But for example, now the other books that I'm doing, would I give them the same attention? Because I just feel like I didn't do my best. Right now, this one I'm doing the scripts for marketing, which is something you should have done when you're fully inspired, especially when I was doing the content preparation. And so I was just sharing my procrastination story to just show that something that took off. And to other people, it's a great success. I remember like my friends just looking at the photos, they were like, Pops, you are so amazing. I mean, we had targeted 100 people initially. And then I think I just felt like this being overambitious. I was like, guys, let's just plan for 50. And then we still had around 70 come in, which was really good. But as I was seated there, I was like, yeah, by the way, there are many things I would have done differently and probably done better and made this a better experience if I had prepared more. And so that is my procrastination story. And I'm just sharing this to also disclaim, I'm not doing this topic and conversation because I'm perfect. This is an area that I'm still growing, that I still struggle with. First of all, because even my personality, I'm a very spontaneous person. And I'm also very strong-willed. Like when I aim at something, I'll just get something done. I'll just get that thing going, which is not always from a place of positive energy, because sometimes I will not do it to the best level I would have if I was more thoughtful and probably had planned earlier and done those things. All right. And so these are mission mantras. So probably some of us struggle a bit with the religious space. I always acknowledge that in every meeting, probably some of us are not Christians. But I just want you to treat this as nice quotes, the way we would read something that is from Mahatma Gandhi or another person and you'll be like, yeah, Guru, you're like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I want you to treat it that way if Bible is not your favorite space. These are some of the mission mantras that I usually have in front of me to remind myself on those days that I don't want to do anything. Like the past 2 weeks, I've been very slow. After the book launch, I just got into this deep of exhaustion and I was like, you know what, I'm resting. I'll drop my kids to the bus stop and then I'll come back and sleep. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling guilty. I'll Netflix and just show myself grace because this has been a tough season. I know it's part of disorganization, but I'm showing myself grace. But these scriptures really help me to remind myself I don't have forever and to also remind myself I'm here for something more and there's nobody else who can do it and it's an urgent assignment. All right, so I will allow us to participate and read. So Brenda will read the first one and then Charity and then Dr. Eve. I'm just going to click on you how you line up on my screen. Brenda, read the first one for us. Brenda Moses, iPhone. Okay, Charity, do you want to go first? You can go ahead. I can see you're ready.
Okay. Then I said, behold, I have come. In the volume of the book, it is written of me to do your will, O God. That is from Hebrews 7.
Yeah, yes. That is King James Version. Thank you, Charity. And I just love this scripture because it reminds me I came from somewhere. And then I remind myself in the volume of books, there are so many verses that will remind me what God says about me, what is God's plan for me, what is God's will for me. And so in the volume of the books, it is written of me. Of course, this was a statement that was for Jesus, but then you remember every scripture is God-breathed. And of course, there's also that breath for me. And then I am also not here to just party hard, and work hard and just floss and just get enough babies and leave. I'm actually here to do the will of God. And so I keep on reminding myself, all this coaching work that I do, all the clients that I see, I'm actually doing God's will for my life. And when I keep on obeying him and just staying on that track, then fulfillment and all those other things that I'm looking for, they will be easier to come by. Dr. Eve, you can read for us the second one, and then Felicitas.
All right. Hi, everyone. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. Making the very most of your time, in brackets on earth, recognizing and taking advantage of each opportunity and using it with wisdom and diligence. End of brackets, because the days are filled with evil.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. I just love the way you read even the brackets. You are that chick. Yeah, and I just love how this one talks about making the very most of my time. And every day I just keep on asking myself, okay, not every day, sometimes I don't even remember to ask myself, but all those times that I go for retreats, probably periodically, I ask myself, did I make the most of this month? Did I do my best this month? And this reminds us that we do make the most on earth, recognizing and taking advantage. Did I take advantage of every opportunity? Did I use that opportunity with wisdom and diligence? And it's because the days are evil. I mean, there's so much evil happening in our world. And sometimes all these things that we are doing on our end, that is how you overcome evil. If, for example, I am on my optimum, I'm able to see more clients, people are able to overcome their self-limiting beliefs, people are able to be at their best, then we have overcome evil together in that season. And I don't know what you're doing on your end, but you see it as an assignment that overcomes evil, because the days are filled with evil. So everything that you're doing, do you see yourself as someone who is racing against time? Because, you know, I don't have forever. There's so much evil, and whatever I'm doing on my corner can push back darkness. And if you're probably thinking, perhaps this is too deep for me, I don't even know, I was not ready for Bible study. Just think about the SDGs, you know, the Sustainable Development Goals that the UN has developed, those 23 things trying to solve. Those are evils that we are pushing against, whether it's poverty, whether it's education, whether it is health, whether it is life under the water, life on the ground, all those things, all those nice things, gender inequalities or equalities, all those things, they're also evils that we're trying to overcome together. And that is why all the fundings that we request for nowadays, you have to be aligned to the SDGs. How are you solving the world problems through your corner and the things that you're doing? All right, and then the last one, was it Felicitas? Brenda, you can also read if you, okay, Felicitas is up. I'll assign you something else, Brenda. I've seen your comment.
Okay, good evening. The verse says, work hard at whatever you do, because there will be no action, no thought, no knowledge, no wisdom in the world of the dead. And that is where you're going.
Wow.
Ecclesiastes 9:10.
Yeah, thank you, Felicitas. I was just wowing that last part. I'm like, this is too honest, but now why are you so direct? You know, to just remind us that there's no wisdom in the world of dead, and that is where you are going. You know, like zero chills. Can you guys hear me? Can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, right. The screen is acting up a bit. And can you still see the screen? You can?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah, so just this part of, we work hard at whatever we do. And I just love this whatever, because there are things we don't enjoy working hard on. And we shall look at that briefly. And then it talks about there'll be no action, no thoughts. So all these brilliant actions and plans of actions and strategic plans that I'm doing, all those amazing and brilliant ideas that I have, all this knowledge that I've been gathering in school and all these other places, and all the wisdom, you know, that I have, you know, they will not apply once I leave this world. I will leave all that behind. And of course, it will also be wasted, because if it was not invested somewhere or in someone, it will not help. And the Bible reminds us that is where you're going. And so right now you do your best, because all these resources you have, in terms of your intellectual resources, in terms of the brilliance you have, in terms of the intelligence you have, some of us are so brilliant at what we do. You know, you just keep on shining. You're just the best in so many things. You just remind yourself, one day, if I don't do my best and make the most out of it, one day it will not matter, because where I'm going, it's not applicable. It will not be needed. I mean, my JD in heaven will probably just be worshiping 24/7 and just enjoying the gold, all the gold that I never amassed here, even with the Bitcoin. But when you think about it, it's just about timelines, to just remind myself, by the way, I am so limited. And these limits are good because I have everything I need to do what I need to do in this season. And then I want us to run through a fun part of this session on why procrastinators procrastinate. This is something very brilliant by this guy called Tim Urban. I'll share with you his video. He did a TEDx talk on this conversation, on just explaining the psychology or the mindset behind why we procrastinate. And so he starts here, and there's this nice graphic of non-procrastinators' brain, how their brain work. So when you're not procrastinating, you're usually a rational decision maker. You're just like, I do things that make sense. I think long term, and I'm not a child. So nobody pushes me, nobody checks on me. I just get things done. So this is how a non-procrastinator's
slide or something. Do you
Pardon?
have a slide for that? Have you changed the slide?
No, it's not visible. Let me just stop and share again. Maybe that will help. Is it better now? The screen share is loading. So can you guys see a procrastinator's brain? What can you see on your end?
Yes, yeah.
We are seeing non-procrastinator's brain.
Yeah, the non-procrastinator's brain. And so you can see this guy. Of course, the eyes are down here. So this is just the brain that is blown up on your screen. And it talks about, in this mode, you're the rational decision maker. You just know you're an adult. Just keep on adulting, do the things you need to do. And so when you're in the wheel, you're just like, I do the things that make sense. I think long-term, I'm not a child. And so nobody pushes me to do anything. Like, I just get things done. And then the other side of life is now the procrastinator's brain. And of course, the one character that is introduced here is the instant gratification monkey. So this is the part of you that only loves doing the fun things, the interesting things, the things I'm passionate about, the things that inspire me. You just want to do the fun things. But then the rational decision maker is having a conversation with you. And initially, there's usually some bit of agreement. I have the same purpose as this guy in the above drawing. We are the same. And so, of course, the rational decision maker keeps on feeling like, yeah, by then this monkey will come and bring more fun to the work. And then when you think about it, there's sometimes where your passions and your purpose and your assignment and your business goals just meet. You don't struggle showing up. For me, it is usually the planning part. When I'm doing the strategies for my business, I don't struggle. Like, I just feel like I have ideas that are racing in my head and fighting. I also enjoy trainings. Like right now, this is my best. But then my business has so many other things that are not my fun things. There's so many decisions that have to be made. There are so many logical things to mute. Yeah, there we go. There are so many things that are not fun that still have to be done, because in the procrastinator's brain, those things are the things that I dread. And of course, the instant gratification monkey will keep on distracting me from them. And how that happens is now this part, where I'm thinking this is the perfect time to get some work done. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm in that mood, I'm in my element. I'm like, nitakaa chini hapo kwa dining table by 7:30. When the children go to school, I'll just come back and straight to the shower. I dress up and sit here because I am in a home office, perhaps discipline. And then of course, the procrastination monkey is like, no, why should we suffer, Bana? By the way, what time did you even sleep yesterday? Yeah, by the way, I slept at, was it at 1? Yeah, that is unfair. I should actually go back to bed. And then of course I go to bed and then I wouldn't even sleep. I'm just on my own. I'm like, yeah, by the way, what's up? Let me just respond to a few things. And then hours later, sometimes even in the afternoon, that is when you're like, wow, my day has not even started, because this monkey has other ideas. And so the monkey is like, let's watch a bunch of YouTube videos on creatures, and of course TikTok as well, on the deep sea. And then we go on a YouTube spiral that takes us through Richard Feynman. Of course, these things don't make sense to me as well. Talking about string theory, and ends with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. Like, wow, yeah, those are the same things. Like, I'm like, first of all, nikachap, Terence Creative amefanya video na Flaco, like what has I been missing out now, Inja, like I'm just I just find myself going to all those places to catch up, because I sometimes when I go on social media, I even rarely go on some days. And then the day I will go, I'm just like, I'm here. I'm here to catch up. I'll scroll down until where nilikuwa nimeachia last time. And then of course, now you get into this frenzy mode where this monkey has taken over the wheel. And so you're in the instant gratification mode, and the rational thinker of you, part of you, is not doing anything. And then he's like, then we will reorganize our to-do list, check socks prices on Amazon, and split up our iPhoto albums into smaller, more specific albums. And you can just think about what you do on your end, what your monkey tells you, what conversations you usually have with your monkey, the instant gratification monkey that removes you from the wheel, and then now it's running your life. And then of course you guys are just having fun, and then now the monkey has taken over and you step aside. By then it will be 2 and we have an appointment at 4:30, so it will be too late to really start any work at that point. And so those are the times you check out, you're like, okay, but, and you remember this rational person usually has a lot of tension when the monkey takes over. Even those times that you're binge watching, you can feel that anxiety. You can feel that nudge in your head. You can just feel like, by this is not the main thing. This is not what I should be doing now. And then of course it leads you into this place, the dark playground. And then it's like play. I really love these things that are on the signpost, refreshing, phone email again and again, roller coaster thrill ride, and then depression nap. I'm just like, by the I'm depressed at nilale kidogo, action slingshot, and then throwing a ball and catching it, food court, and then fantasize about the completed version of the thing you're working on. So you start fantasizing, ebook launch, like for example, if it was me a few weeks ago, I'm just like, yeah, how it will go, it will be amazing. And then of course you open the fridge to see if there's anything new in there since 10 minutes ago, Wild Mountain. And then looking at the 1,200 Facebook photos of high school persons you are never friends with, Adventure Volcano. And so the monkey is just playing, it has taken over. And of course, now you're in this dark playground where you can even stay for days. You just find yourself, probably even if you're not binging, you're just doing other things that have nothing to do with your business. And you're so busy, but you definitely know within yourself, this is not the main thing. This is not it. And then this monster shows up. Of course, you can see the monkey is still on the wheel. And then of course, the rational person is on the side. Both of them are terrified. And this monster is usually a deadline or a bill that is due, or probably an embarrassment that you will face. Like for me, it was that part of book launch itafika alafu hakuna vitabu. So that monster just keeps me here at 3 a.m. I'm like, wait, I wouldn't want that embarrassment. And of course, now there's all that, these things, probably there's scarcity, like I'll not make any money. And so of course, this monster shows up and it scares you. And then what happens? And then everybody's screaming. Of course, the monkey really panics, because they were just having a ball and really having fun. And then of course the rational person is also screaming because the reality checks in. I should not have allowed this monkey to take over. And then guess what happens? Yeah, the monkey will definitely leave the group, just like weko peke yako. Because you remember, instant gratification is just about having fun. And so when we kick into the stress mode, that is usually the rational thinker doing all the work. So for example, those nights that I spent here on the dining table, trying to finish the book, references, editing, doing all that, because it was not something that I could delegate, especially that part of structuring the book. It was like writing the book all over again. It was not something I could delegate. And so I get into this frenzy mode. Now, this person had enough time to probably do the work before the instant gratification monkey showed up. And so you imagine how there'll be an overdrive, probably sleepless nights. And of course, you will not do your best when you're in pressure mode. But you remember, this monster is standing over you because you missed it. And sometimes that monster doesn't leave. And there's actually this analogy of sometimes it's actually possible for even this rational thinker to dash and climb the tree. And sometimes it happens because you just find like you've switched off, you have, like you're totally stuck, you can't do anything. Sometimes you can get into that depressive mode where even the rational thinker refuses to think, or you just get into that mode of giving up. You just resign to fate. You're like, whatever happens, happens. And those are the times both of you leave. When the panic monster comes, both of you leave, and then nothing happens. But the ideal situation is some of us have just been winging it, and other people actually admire you. They think like, oh, have it together. But they don't know how much this rational thinker had to do an overdrive for them to get things off the ground. And so we've got a problem. So these are the problems of procrastination. First of all, the procrastinator still gets things done. They will even get their awards in their company. Maybe some of you will even get those business awards because you still get things done and you look competent because you know the minimum threshold that you need to function in. And then, of course, the other problem is you become an underachiever and you live with underutilized potential. And of course, that eats you away over time because other people are admiring you out there, but inwardly, you know that you're not doing your best. And so this underachiever thing will never leave you. And of course, the underutilized potential, feeling like I'm not doing my best, I'm not living at my optimum, it also doesn't leave you. And then, of course, the other problem is the have to do's are always more than the want to do's. Because the panic monster does not help you with self-actualization bits of your life. The panic monster is always on survival mode. It's just do the bare minimum, do what needs to be done. And so you will never panic probably over other goals that are not so urgent and they're not visible or probably they don't have serious consequences. Those ones you'll still keep on putting them on the back burner, but those are important things to you. And you see the problem of the have to do's, it's because, I mean, just thinking about John 10:10, I love that verse as well because it says Jesus came that you may have life and have it in abundance. The have to just feels like survival mode. The want to is the day I get to choose my schedule because I've spread out my energies and I've done well. I've also spread out my finances. I probably have some surplus and I have just spread out also my potential in a way. I've paced my year, I've paced my month, I've paced my week. I'm able to have those times to do things that I love doing that are not necessarily, they're actually the things that energize me, instead of always having to beat deadlines over the things that I am falling behind in terms of my plan and everything. And so the panic monster will never help you with self-actualization in your life. And I think that is usually such a shocker for me whenever I think about it that way, you know? And then of course, the other problem is shut down. You self-sabotage yourself. You don't do the things you're supposed to do. Some of us, even looking back, probably some of the strategic plans you have, you formulated them even 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago, like you had clarity on what you wanted to do, but you've just been sabotaging yourself. And then you show up this year, next year, the other year. And imagine if nothing changes right now, 10 years from now, we will just be having dreams. We'll just be wannabes in terms of this is what I would have been, this is who I will be, this is what I would have achieved, but we're not there. And then of course, you've seen the dark playground. It is filled with guilt, with anxiety, with self-hatred, and with dread. As we're just taking the rabbit trails into that dark playground, there are so many things and so many emotions that are happening in our lives. And there's so much undertones of emotional energy that is sucked out because we are guilty, we're not doing our best. We are anxious about all the things that are pending. Self-hatred because I'm just feeling like I'm not even supporting myself. I'm not showing up for me. What am I even doing with my life? And so all that affects you. And of course, that dread, the dread of just feeling like, you know, this is not the best. This is not what I had envisioned about my life, or I'm not living out my potential. I'm not doing my best. And of course, there's also the terror of embarrassment, of failure, of deadline, of bills that need to be paid. All right, and then the next thing. So this is where you pick your struggle. You remember when we started, there was that list of 3 things that probably are your reasons on why you procrastinate in your own life. And so we're going to fill them in with other reasons on why we procrastinate. So we usually procrastinate because we are doubting ourselves. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe you're brilliant. You don't believe you are good enough. All those, and some of these voices are actually from childhood, because things like validation, things like people-pleasing tendencies, approval addiction, those are childhood issues, and self-doubt as well, because it's the voice of validation that you need, even from other people or from situations, that doesn't come through. And so you keep on doubting yourself. You're not able to be that voice of action for you. And so when you doubt yourself, you don't do anything. And of course, the other problem that causes us to procrastinate is avoidance patterns, where we avoid things. When things are difficult, we avoid them. When they're uncomfortable, we avoid them. And we can just look at our lives in terms of patterns we have. Like I've said, one of the things that I avoid in my business is financial planning. Like that is an area that terrifies me. I mean, sometimes I even spend money and I don't know where that money went. I'm just like, am I even sure I spent this money? You know, like I know it's so weird. And I remember when I was newly married, my husband used to manage our finances. He would balance the books. Like he's so meticulous in financial management. He would even know he bought a sweet and a matchbox, like he's that. And of course, he has this white book that he used to write that really used to intimidate me and make me feel like such a horrible person. And then eventually, I remember working with a personal financial coach. And then she was like, "Perhaps, can you go and take back your ATM cards and everything, because you need to learn how to manage your own money." And of course, that is a place that I still find myself, like, it's not my sweet spot. It's not my comfort zone. It's not something I enjoy doing. And so what will happen there, I will be having this app that I've promised myself I will write down everything that I spent. And then right now it's just giving me notifications here, reminding me that I need to, hi, please update your expenses today. Like, that notification keeps on coming up. And I'm like, should I even deactivate this notification? Should I uninstall this app and save space for other things? So this avoidance pattern can also be one of the reasons why we procrastinate. And then, of course, lack of enough clarity and resources. You're doing something, you don't have enough clarity, you don't have a clarity of your vision. And I just, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about being in Evoke Global, of course, it was that trigger of projecting your financial planning. I'm like, wow, this is so intimidating that I have to plan how much I need to make, and then I need to come back here now and start making that money. And I remember, of course, I have a friend who is a financial consultant. So I went to her, I was like, this is so intimidating. I can't even understand these figures. Please explain. And then later she looked at it and she took me through, and then she was like, "Perhaps you need a business plan first for you to even fill up this workbook. Like this is the cart before the horse." And then I was like, wow, business plan. Like, I don't even enjoy such technical things. And I remember going away on a retreat, like during that month, I think it was in February. And during that retreat, I sat at night up on a phone. I was actually typing from my phone. So she even gave me a business plan for a business that they're doing with the sister. It's a grocery, it's this bespoke grocery orders. And then, of course, it has the format she's explained to me. I sat there and I created the confidence strategic plan. No, business plan, not strategic plan, business plan. And I remember leaving that retreat center, like, I just felt like everything has come to so much life. Like, there's so much life in everything I'm doing. Even when I'm writing there, coaching children, what is our advantage? We think about child protection. We don't allow children to put on their screens during our sessions because we don't want their images to feature anywhere. When we share those slides with their parents, I was like, wow, I really feel like a pro banner. And so that is a place that I lacked enough clarity. And sometimes you also lack enough resources, and resources is not always money. I mean, sometimes what ndio vitu, for me, it was probably lacking that, seeing that person. I mean, she's been in my life, she's my friend, but I'd never seen her as a resource until that time. And she was like, "Perhaps let me know how else I can support you. I can help you do your books. I can help you, like, I have an offer that is on the table." And sometimes we procrastinate because we don't have enough clarity, which is something you need to pursue and push through, and also resources in terms of who do I need, not just what do I need, even who do I need. And of course, also what do I need, even besides money. And I usually say, when you're brainstorming your needs, make sure money is the last one. Try to exhaust everything else in terms of what you need, because money sometimes is usually an overrated thing in our mind. Honestly, I'm just this person who has really grown through so many things by thinking of myself as someone who can give more resources than money, even for the opportunities that I want. Like, for example, there's a time when I was getting my coaching certification and I couldn't raise the whole amount. And I talked to that coach. I was like, well, how else can I work this around? And of course, she was like, you can bring other clients, you'll get a commission. You can also come and work for me and volunteer for admin. And I did all that. And of course, I really paid a handsome part of that amount. But just that possibility of being able to see there's always when you're determined enough. The other thing also that probably causes us to be procrastinating is our personalities. And it's just because different personalities have different ways they show up when the panic monster comes in. For example, just thinking about the 4 temperaments, honestly, that is not my favorite personality theory, but I mean, it's the most popular one. So for example, when you think about personality, the melancholic, which is usually the perfectionist, they will procrastinate because they want all their ducks in a row. They want funding, they want the business plan, they want the staff members, they want an office, they want everything so that they can take the first step. And so they never act. And then, of course, the choleric, they act impulsively, they go without the full facts. Whenever they think about something, they just jump. They are marketing, they are selling things, and they don't have structures. And of course, that also sabotages their business. Oh, let me mute. Oh, okay. Seems like Diana is really here. Thanks, Diana. And of course, when you think about personality, I've said about the choleric is the action-oriented person. So sometimes they will not even have enough information. They don't have enough structures and systems in place. They just act. And then the phlegmatic, that person is really, they really fear confrontations and putting themselves out there, talking to people, like those are things they dread. And so they're just like, yeah, but you see, Santenda kuanzia wapi? You're like, where will I even start? You know, they struggle with that space of just putting themselves out there, and probably the action part. They can really plan. They do so well in planning. They are meticulous. Even the implementation will be really meticulous. But then there's this part of marketing that sometimes is so hard for them because it has to do with relationships, which are so exhausting. And of course, they will just be here. They have everything. But then the action bit is where they flop. And then of course there is the sanguine. That person is emotional. Ataambia watu venye ataleta vitu kesho na lori. You know, they don't even have a lorry. They give unrealistic deadlines. They're just emotional. They will commit to things and they forget. And of course, all that causes us to come to a place of procrastination. Because I mean, when you don't show up on your best, and of course, best foot forward, not in place, then what that means is that I don't show up. And so what will happen to the melancholic? They will not implement at all. That is procrastination. They always have everything in their head, but they don't do. And then the phlegmatic, they fear taking bold actions, and so they hold themselves back. And then the sanguine, they over-promise, under-deliver. And so, of course, that is still part of procrastination because they don't allow themselves to come to that capacity of, first of all, having realistic expectations set out. And then number two, they don't come to this place of also personality. They don't have this momentum. They don't have even the discipline that is required for execution because those are emotional people. It depends with how they feel and how they will show up. And of course, that scattered emotional space will hinder the execution. And then the choleric procrastinators. How they'll become procrastinators, the cholerics, it's because once they have implemented things and then those things don't work the way they had envisioned because they have so much energy for execution and takeoff, they come to a crash and they don't pick up again. And I don't know where you see yourself. Probably this will be a good place for you to share among those 4 temperaments. One of the things I don't like the temperament theory, it's because it boxes people into only 4 things. So Myers-Briggs is my preferred personality assessment, but then we can just use it for the sake of this context of class. So when you think about the choleric, who is a go-getter, and then probably they've not thought out the whole thing, they've not structured things. So sometimes they will even do a lot of marketing, they get so many orders, they can't deliver the orders, and then clients are very disappointed in them. And then, for example, a phlegmatic, they have this amazing product, and they can't even get the energy to put it out there. And then the choleric, no, the melancholic is like, this product is not perfect enough, so I can't put it out there. And then, of course, the sanguine, yeah, guys, this product, like they've not even started designing, but wakipata tu idea hivi wamesha pitch, wameraise watu hopes, and then they have nothing. They have nothing because they had not thought how much work will go into it and how much discipline will be required. Did someone want to ask a question? Okay, so I'm just coming back to the comments because I'm expecting you to share where you think you are in your procrastinating. Is it that you're waiting for situations to be perfect? Or is it that you act emotionally like me? When I think about temperaments, where I oscillate more, I am a choleric. So sometimes I'll take action and then I'll figure out along the way, oh my God, I think this was not well thought out. You know, sometimes I'll even start programs and I've not designed the whole thing, and then I'll be stressing myself to keep on taking it off. And then of course, there's also the sanguine part. I can also over promise and under deliver, like I'm vulnerable to those 2 spaces more. For me, I don't struggle with perfection, and I also don't struggle with pitching. All right, talk to me on the chat. You can also unmute yourself if it's easier, so we can save time. Just want to get a feel of where everyone is. I was planning to go up to 9:30. I hope that's okay for us. I don't know whether there's anyone who wanted to really leave after 1 hour. Sorry, I should have said that when we were starting, but I'm pacing myself for 9:30. Diana is saying, Aki, I'm just laughing back here. And then Dr. Eve, literally me on that avoidance bit on financials, you're reading my scripts. Yes, we should be put in the same WhatsApp group, and then both of us are admins. And then did someone want to ask a question? That was Diana asking. So I don't know where we are at. Do we have anyone who wants to unmute and share? We'll just give an opportunity to probably 1 person. So if that is you, feel free to unmute and share where you think you are at, or you can just share on the chat and then I will read. So I'm seeing Terry and Susan and Mercy and Lorna and Kate and Julia and Felicitas and Dr. Eve and Charity Mohindi and
Hi.
Brenda. Julia, you want to go?
Yeah.
Thank you. Finally, there's someone who is taking the... All right, go ahead.
For me, I feel I oscillate between melancholic and sanguine in terms of tend to take too long to believe in what I have to put out. Like I play with it for too long in my head, worrying about how the end product will look like to the person receiving. Also, sometimes I could tend to over commit, and so those I know are two areas.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for sharing and thanks for being the first one to flag us off. Yeah, I know sometimes it's very intimidating to just put ourselves out here vulnerably, but honestly, there's nothing that will teach us vulnerability more than business, because we really don't want to fail. And of course, some of us are so sure this is the big thing that God has called you to do. I was someone who was employed cumulatively for 13 years in my life, and all those times I was in jobs that really suck because I knew I was not cut for employment. So you can actually believe in that place. Mercy, you want to go? Hi, Mercy. There's a lot of feedback from your end. We can't hear you. Are you on earphones? Can you try to unplug them maybe? You just speak to the screen. We can't hear you at all. We can't hear you, Mercy. I hope you're not on headphones or earphones. Sometimes they act out. Or is it on my end? Is that noise coming from my end or Mercy's end? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it's Mercy's end.
Oh, okay. All right. Mercy, we can't hear you. Maybe you can share on the chat. Do you have anyone else who wants to go, the last person, and then we keep going? I thought you guys will be fighting on the chat. Mkifungua tu roho.
Yeah, guys,
No
by the way,
pressure.
this one is a closed training for just us. So it's just us. So you can be as vulnerable as you want. Please, let's share. That's how we grow. That's how we learn.
Yeah. But no pressure. Maybe you guys are just feeling like, hey, perhaps we didn't know we are going to deepen, but now we just wanted to waddle on the seashores, you know, in our hot shots. No pressure, no pressure at all. Probably you can just share and then we can read as we go. And then, so I'll just move over personality. So that is also a very big contributor. Actually, personality will probably be around 40% of why we struggle with procrastination, because we struggle into different directions. And then the other thing is poor planning and execution. I've already explained that a bit on the personality bit, but it's also a standalone on itself, because if whatever you're doing has poor planning execution, even when you're starting the initial process, it was not well thought out. Probably you didn't get some professional feedback and input from it. You probably didn't research enough. Then that poor planning and also execution that follows can lead you to procrastinate, because once a project fails, it's usually very difficult to pick yourself up again. And then the other thing is approval addiction. It's a big deal, just because I'm thinking more about the other person and how probably even they will perceive me. For example, in approval addiction, it's me and feeling like, what if my clients don't like me? What if they reject me? What if I'm not good enough? And just those thoughts can actually keep me feeling like, maybe I should just wait a little bit and refine. But you know what? There's someone else, there's someone out there who is waiting for you. There's someone who's waiting for your products. There's someone out there who is looking for you. And I think for me, working a while ago with James Karondo, he's a business mentor. He's the one who helped me take off in my coaching work. It was really helpful to just know that there are people out there who are willing to even pay premium for the things that I sell and for the products that I have, you know, and they're willing to pay, they're looking for me, they're happy to pay, like just having those images of not feeling like I'll always be rejected, because approval addiction also has to do with the people around me. When you pitch your idea to your family, they're like, hi guys, sasa wewe, you know, like, where are you going with this? Maybe you're even pitching because you're looking for funding, and because they didn't approve of your idea, probably they didn't approve of your business concept, then you shelve it, or sometimes you even discard it altogether. And approval addiction is such a deep-rooted problem for so many women, especially. And right now in the Emotionally Bold Woman, that is one of the sessions we address just on its own, in terms of this woman has nothing to prove, because approval addiction is just trying to prove a point, to people who don't even care. And of course, even if they care, for people who only care about themselves. And those are the people I want to shoot my best shots, try to convince them things, and it never works. And so one day when you wake up and you want to execute something, just do it, because you are here to do all that is written about you in the volume of books. I'm here to do your will, oh God. Like that will be the mantra. And when you look at Jesus, he was actually such a disappointment to everyone. He disappointed his disciples because he didn't become this king they wanted him to become. He disappointed his family. Probably was not that child who was always at home. You can remember when his mother and brothers are coming to look for him and he's like, who are my brothers? The ones who are listening to me, these are my brothers and my sisters and my mother. And of course, he was also such a disappointment to the Roman Empire, to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. It's like and every time he will just keep on using statements like, my will is to do, my bread is to do the will of the one who sent me. And I'm really praying that even as we're doing our execution of our businesses, we'll just remind ourselves, I need God's approval only for all the things that I need to do. I need to give myself permission. And it's because every time I'm tuning in to just know that this is God's will, this is what God even says about my business, then the level of confidence you have in execution is out of this world. I'm this person who started mentoring children. I didn't even have a certificate in counseling. I used to Google, and then I had a diploma in IT. I don't even know how I winged it. And I remember during the book launch having this guy who I coached when I was not even a coach. I journeyed with 20 years ago, 20 years. And then he's there narrating some stories. I'm like, wait, did I do that? Did I do that? I'm a lazy housewife right now. Where nilikuwa nimetoa wapi your audacity, because it seems like I left it there, And I just look back and I'm like, it's because I had courage to step out. And I look at myself when I was probably younger, the courage I had, the nerve, the audacity. I'm this person who fundraised to go to campus, and the people when wananichangia wengine hata walikuwa wali drop out from high school. And they came together, my friends, and they rooted for me. I think we raised 13,000, which was really amazing. And of course, just looking back, those are many years back. It was in 2007 when I went to University of Nairobi. And just looking back, I'm just thinking like, huyu approval addict mwenye nimekuwa saizi, huyu celebrity in my head, where did they come from? Because the little girl that I was unstoppable. She didn't need to have her ducks in a row. She would just dash for it. Can you imagine the day I went to buy my form for University of Nairobi to apply for my degree, Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, Psychology, and Religion? I was earning 10,000. I'm like, ulikuwa unatoa wapi audacity? But where did these voices of approval addiction come from? And these voices of, you have to be a certain way, you have to look a certain way, you have to show up in a certain way for people to accept you. Where does it come from? And so I'm asking that to you as well, if there is an area you struggle with. And then of course, lack of boundaries, that is also a struggle. And of course, it really leads to procrastination, because when you don't have boundaries, you keep on getting sucked in at what other people want, at the demands of other people, the dreams of other people. And so I rarely have time for what is mine. And when you look at boundaries, it's just that space where I can define, like, this is where I start, this is where I stop, this is where the people start, this is where they stop. And of course, lacking of boundaries also with yourself, because self-boundaries are very important. Please go and look for that book by Henry Cloud on boundaries. He has done boundaries in marriage, boundaries in relationships, boundaries in parenting, boundaries in dating, even boundaries at work. And of course, I love the way the general boundary book talks about boundaries with yourself. Because if you have poor boundaries with yourself, you don't even know when to tell yourself no. You don't know when to tell yourself, how to tell yourself yes. You don't know how to probably delay gratification in your own life. Then you keep on finding yourself procrastinating because you have poor boundaries even with yourself. And I really empathize when I'm talking about this. I always empathize with people whose boundaries were violated when they were pretty young, especially sexually, because they really struggle to set boundaries even later in life. And one of the things you do yourself as a favor is to keep on pursuing your healing. I always encourage everyone, go for as many therapies as you need, go for as much coaching as you need. Like, these are things you can never avoid in your life if you want to live on your optimum. I know. Honestly, I've grown up in church in the deep side of Pentecostal, probably I would have easily qualified for the Mackenzie squad and drama because our village had all these crazy people. But when I look back, I just think like, you know, I've really come to this place where I think like, by the God has also caused us to live in that realm where we also have so much resources that he has put in other people. And those people, because every time, sometimes you talk to a Christian, they're like, no, God will help me, Tenda Katoloni, I'll fast and pray, this thing will go away. I'm like, no, sometimes you need insight. Sometimes you need direction. Sometimes you need someone else to speak in a voice that even challenges some of the wrong beliefs you have about yourself. You need someone who can see something in you and call it out. And having that human representation of God to be the voice of God in your life, it is amazing. And when you look at all the wise kings in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, they had advisors. They always had people that will even go and inquire of the Lord and come and give them advice and never minimize that space. And that is why we are in this Evolve Woman program, the Evoke Woman program, because we want to be wise also in the things of this world, you know. And so encourage yourself, like keep on putting these boundaries in place. And of course, that also rolls to the next point of mental health struggles. This is a huge, huge part of why many people procrastinate. And like we were just talking about our centers of energies, sometimes it's because my marriage is really, really a place that sucks. And so that is the energy that I come with to my business. And of course, I'm really struggling in my mental health. You know, my husband probably has told me I'm useless. He's cheating on me. So many things are going wrong. And so when I come to my business, I'm bringing all that energy. And of course, the mental health struggles, they are such an obstacle because you can't be creative. You can't put your best foot forward when you're struggling in all these places. And sometimes I usually say, well, funga kiosk, go and get help. Because it doesn't matter how cute the car is. If it's not roadworthy, it's not roadworthy. And just don't be minimizing and trivializing and dismissing everything. Just the way we started by validating everything, that is the same way you should validate yourself. Validate yourself. Sometimes it's just blasting some music, reminding myself who I am. It works. And then there's sometimes talking to a good friend. There are people that I usually seek out when I'm just having those moments of probably self-doubt or I'm struggling to take off. I just have a good conversation. I take off. And then there are those times that I'm really feeling I'm stuck in a rut. It's a week, it's a month, it's probably a few months, and I'm really stuck. Like last year, there was a season that I was totally stuck and I went for so much therapy. Baka my therapist was like, "Perhaps usirudi hapa." I was like, who does that? I mean, I pay you 3,000 for 40 minutes and then you're telling me not to come, you know? And of course, I really loved the good intention she had because she was feeling like, of course, now when you go and see a psychologist, they really see how much self-awareness you have. So they sometimes they just feel like, and of course, when you think about the mental health struggles, it's because you always need someone to journey with you. Just allow yourself to get into places where someone speaks life, someone looks through you, despite what other people have said, and they're able to really tell you the truth. And sometimes they even tell you the truth in terms of you really suck. You need to get your act together because you're not always a victim. Sometimes you are the perpetrator in the things that you're suffering from. And so you need to have a rational voice to speak to you so that you can procrastinate less because you are struggling mentally. And the last one is reality gap. Sometimes you procrastinate because who you are, venye vitu ziko kwa ground, and the way things are in your head, you can't reconcile. You just can't reconcile them. I mean, like for me, I just having this business projection of I need to make 5 million this year. Alafu saizi niangalie venye the books are. I'm just like, should I have removed 1 0 and just work with 500K? Like, where was I going with this? And reality gap can make you postpone. It can cause you to come to this place where you feel like you're not able to, and it makes you feel like you're not even worthy to be that person that you had painted pictures about and that person that you dreamt about. And guess what? I always remind myself that faith is a substance of things hoped for, and evidence of things not yet seen. And we need to keep on keeping those things in front of us, because some of us will look back, including myself, and every time I am probably struggling and feeling like I am not enough or I don't have enough, I remind myself, perhaps when you're 16 years old, you are a suicidal teenager. Upon your reality gap, compare reality gap. And of course, when you're 23 years old, you're earning 6,000, cleaning these radios are tourists, Palengara. And then you are scrubbing some machines when you are, how old was I? I was 23 when I was scrubbing some machines in Tarakilishi computers, Pale Afya Center. And I'm just like, now you're complaining about now. Kwani umetoka wapi? And reality gap, it's that part of looking back. And one of the things that will help you with your reality gap is a gratitude list, to learn to be grateful and to just remind yourself, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. Because even being in this program is such a bold move for some of us. You know, it's something you never thought, and even putting in your money as an investment into this program. That is how much faith you have that your reality gap is, you know, that like that gap is not widening, opposite of widening, it's narrowing down, you know, and one day you will come to a place and probably it might totally detour you from what you're thinking right now. But if you keep on trusting God and keep on doing your best, keep on getting help and support, one day you might end up in a more amazing place than what you thought. Honestly, when I'm looking at myself like 10 years ago, I was 28. Okay, no, let me just go to 15 years ago. Because by then I was not married. I was just a young girl. I had never thought I would even write books. I'd never thought I would be a life coach. I used to think like I'll just be a psychologist and that will be it. And I look at all the amazing things that you become over time, all the evolving that you go through. And you just like, by the way, this reality gap should not discourage me, because maybe even that reality that I'm looking for is not where I will end up. I'll end up in something more amazing. This is just something to motivate and inspire me to start acting. And as we start wrapping up, so this is the Time Warrior Starter Pack. Number one, a periodic planner. I don't know whether you're planning periodically in your life. Like I've mentioned, just having those times in terms of, do you have an annual plan of what you wanted to achieve when this year began? What you want to do this year, what are the big things? And I just discovered it's just about having like only 10 things, or probably 10 to 15 things, just those. And for me, I've written them behind my diary. And so this periodic planner, and then I review monthly. Kitambo used to review quarterly, so probably you can even start there, especially if you're very disciplined in your execution momentum. For me, I decided to go monthly because I realized like nikienda 3 months nakuta I didn't do a lot of things. So every month I go away for 2 nights. Those are 3 days. Just try to maximize them. I don't even go far. I just go to Kiambu Road in a prayer center there, and I just stay there. I take a lot of water. I also take time to hydrate there. And sometimes I will take 5 liters of water. And this periodic planning just helps me to keep short accounts of my life and my progress. And then of course have a strategic plan. I'm hoping everyone has one, but just being in this space. And then of course have daily time blocks where every day you just decide like probably there are 4 to 5 things that I need to do. And one of the things that I learned when I was working as a HR in the past 2 years, I really went through amazing training. And one of the things that I learned is how you can plan your day. Like during the morning, just have blocks of 2 hours, 2 blocks of 2 hours, and then in the afternoon have 1 block of 2 hours, and then probably later in the evening or probably even at night, if you need to probably work a half day, especially if you're an entrepreneur, have another 2 hours block, and then just do one thing in that block of hours. For example, I can just say I want to call in the next 2 hours. I'll just make calls, and so I consolidate all the calls, probably all the marketing calls I need to do, follow-up calls, everything. Like I'm just calling. And then, for example, next time I want to read and research. And so that block of time, I'll just do a research. I can even research in the block of the whole morning for 4 hours, but then I have probably limits in terms of how I want to go and what I want to achieve within this time. And so, for example, if I want to read books, I want to do things, and I want to do it within my working time, so that especially if they're related directly, and I'll come to that in the last point, then you're able to plan those daily time blocks so that you maximize your productivity. And then you're able to remind yourself, I'm just working for 2 hours first. You know, within these 2 hours, I'll achieve much, take a break, and then come back. And it's like you take a break to kaa shule, alafu unarudi tena unaendelea na the other 2 hours. And this has really helped me to get organized, especially on the times and the seasons that I have so much pressure in terms of so many things to do. And so, for example, I have a children's program, I have a parents program, we have a couples program. There's also the women's program, there's Emotionally Bold Woman, there's Woman Arise, which currently I'm working into a digital product. And so when I work these time blocks, I'm able to work on only one thing. I'm like, for the next 2 hours, I'm just thinking about the children. So what do I need to work on this one? So do I need to research? Do I need to make calls? Do I need to design something new? Do I need to create some slides for something that is coming up? And even this morning, like I had a time block of 2 hours to just do the presentations for the things I'm doing. So I worked on this one. I worked for the WEB one tomorrow morning. I worked for the parenting one that is coming up next week. And then the Emotionally Bold Woman, I usually work on it on Monday. So all these time blocks, with time, your life starts getting a rhythm. And then you don't feel the pressure of unfinished things. And then, of course, the other thing is retreats. I would really encourage you, if you can, learn to take retreats. Just go alone by yourself. Look back, do a gratitude list. Like for me, all the things that are my needs list right now, when I go, some of them I'll move them to the gratitude list because they've already happened. And it really affirms you and encourages you when you feel like you've achieved something and you're heading somewhere. And then sometimes you even give up some things, because when I go, sometimes there's some things I'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I'll remove it. Like I'll just remove it totally from my scope of things on what I want to do this year. And you just keep on also taking time to just listen to God and get that inward affirmation, so that you're not getting validation from outside here in terms of the likes and how many people follow you, how many people probably watch your videos, how many people appreciate you, including your clients. Like you come to that place of going and just getting validation from God and also from yourself. You just become that positive voice of affirming yourself. And then the other thing is therapy and coaching. I've already mentioned that. I won't repeat it again. Please, if you need to just work out through things that are slowing you down emotionally, because the emotional noises are so powerful, you can never minimize them, go for therapy, go for coaching. I'm also here. I'm happy to help if this is one of your choices and options. And then, of course, the last thing is self-awareness. And self-awareness works this way. So you can see this word fat files. I will encourage you to choose 3 areas, just three areas that you want to grow in. Even from this conversation and from the places you're struggling in procrastination, choose 3 areas. And then you're like, these are the 3 areas I'll keep on showing up. And how I want to be fat, I'll be faithful, I'll be available, I'll be teachable in these areas until I improve, until I change. And how that works, first of all, you start consolidating all your efforts towards those 3 areas. And so for me, there are seasons in my life where I will not watch anything. Like hata nikienda kwa TEDx talk, nikienda kwa YouTube, I'm only listening or watching things that are related to that area. If I'm reading a book, I read a book on that area. If I'm probably even seeking out help, I seek help in that area. And so you immerse yourself in that area until, because most of the times you usually struggle in areas that are areas of ignorance. It's like a blind spot in your life. And so you need to make sure you illuminate it. It's like you channel all your lights. You know, that kuna mbongo new magnifying glass kuna venye unaweza focus mpaka ichome ngamia. Like that laser focus. Focus on that area until it budges. And so if it's an area you're struggling with, if it's an area that probably that is slowing you down in other areas of your life, just get that area into a fat file. And so fat file means I research on it. There are so many files I'll create around it. Kitambo, we used to create physical files, 3 files where I keep on printing things and putting them in there. Of course, nowadays you can just create folders in your laptop or even in your phone, and you just put all resources that you're gathering towards that thing, and then get down on it. Get crazy about it. Immerse yourself until that area changes, until that area improves. And of course, this is the Time Warrior Starter Pack. And then reality check. This is the last slide. Imagine no one is coming. There's no one who is coming. You know, you used to have appraisal processes probably when you're employed, but in your business, no one is coming to appraise you. No one is coming to motivate you. No one is coming. And so what you need to do in the Jitume. Start sending yourself. Start rising up. If there's anything that needs to be done, you're the one who will wake yourself up in the morning to do. No one is coming to even give you pressure, you know, apart from the panic monster. But no one is coming. Sometimes people look at you out here and they're admiring you and envying you, but they don't know how much you're struggling with in action. And the reality check is that no one is coming. And I really love this. I had it from the 5 seconds rule. I've never forgotten. No one is coming, Paps. No one is coming. No one is coming to ask you to even review your strategic plan and your business plan. Kama wewe uko nje kutafuta watu, hakuna mtu. No one is even coming to buy from you. You need to put yourself out there. That is why you need to keep on posting. That is why you need to keep on marketing. That is why you need to keep on telling parents everywhere and all over what you're doing. And women, you need to keep on giving them your business card, because no one is coming. No one is just showing up and they're like, hi, Paps, by the way, what do you do? Can you do it for me? No one is coming. Jitume. And then number 2, your Kairos is dependent on your Chronos. And Kairos is that timeline of your destiny and eternity and your purpose, because your purpose is part of something bigger. I usually see my life as a continuum of other lives that were there before. Whatever I'm doing right now, probably God had someone else doing it in a previous generation, and then I'm here, and then after I'm gone, someone else will come and take it on. And so my Kairos, in terms of my limited time on earth, I remember last year, April, I went for a prayer retreat. And I even decided, like, by the time I'm 74, I'll be ready to die. And so that has also kept the panic monster on my neck, because I'm like, Paps, you are more than 50% done with your life. And it's because I'm just reminding myself, this limited time that I have, the Chronos, is what determines my Kairos in terms of what is the overall impact of my life on earth. And then, of course, you will never be fulfilled if you don't focus on the one thing. This is my mantra when the year began. Just that story of Martha and Mary, of Jesus telling her, you know, like, you are concerned about many things, but you should just choose one thing. And what is your one thing, lady? What is the one thing that you know God has called you to do? You're the only one who can do it, and you need to do it so well. Like for Mary, it was just sitting at the feet of Jesus. What is your one thing? And for me, that one thing last year, just having that sense of urgency, first of all, on my timelines. And then by the end of the year, I'm resigning from my work. And then in January, I'm in that place where I'm like, what is the one thing that I need to do? Yeah, now I'm coming back to coaching, but what is the one thing that God wants me to do in coaching? So that I don't feel like I want to follow all the other coaches and see what they're doing to know what I should do. Because you can never discover your assignment by looking at other people that you're competing with. You need to inquire of God, what is my one thing? And honestly, this has been the most focused year for me in all my professional life. We're just focusing on that one thing, getting into this program of Evoke, like all this, it's part of my one thing. Like I need to get so good in this one thing. And one of the visions that I have, and I'm going to tell you here because I want you to keep me accountable, I want to leave my daughter a profitable business in 10 years, like a business that is structured, that can be upscaled, a profitable business. That is what I want to will her. Because I'm just telling myself, I can't keep on doing this. I'm getting old. You can't keep on coaching teens when you're a shosho. You need to allow other younger people to coach them. And so just having that reality check, I'm starting to, first of all, slow down, but at the same time, speed up because I have an end game in mind. And then, of course, your life assignment is for others. You're not here for yourself. Imagine even that business you're doing, all those amazing things that you have, if they're just for you, that is a very limited ambition. But if God is going to use you to transform the world, to change lives, to bring so much impact that will create a ripple effect on other people, then you're onto something great because your life assignment is for others. It's not for you. It's not for you. There is no tree that produces fruits for itself. And that is why even the mango tree that is in the jungle, if nobody eats those mangoes, they'll just fall down on the ground and they'll be eaten by the ground. And it's the same principle with your life. You're not here for yourself. You cannot have a selfish ambition at the corner of your life. You are here for something more and for some other more people. And so just keep on reminding yourself, when I don't show up, I'm actually failing more people than myself. There are many people that cannot benefit because I didn't show up. And that's it. And so I don't know whether there's anyone with any question. Yeah, we have 5 minutes to 9:30. It's now 4 minutes. I mean, it just went to 9:26 when I was here. I don't know whether we have any question. If we don't, I had the option of having a breakout room debrief where we can just go into small groups and just reflect and share probably what you've learned for around 5 minutes, and then we will come back together and just pray. Honestly, if there's anything that has helped me in my life, especially just knowing how vulnerable I have been in my past, I've told you guys that like I had a suicidal ideation when I was 15. Those are many years back. And every time I usually keep on reminding myself, like that was the turnaround of my life and everything that I've become after that. And all these years, I've just learned to really see how God has been the factor of my life. And even for us to remind ourselves, we're not even here by our own account, we are here for God. And one day when it's all done, I'm also going back to God. And I think that really, really settles so many things within myself. And I remember last year, just coming to this place where I was feeling like God has just given my life a sense of fulfillment. And I remember just telling even my husband, like, if today I died, I don't think I'll really regret. The only thing I'll regret that is unfinished business for me is seeing my daughter turn into a woman and probably a mother and just being there for her. And she's a mom. But I feel like on these other ends, I really feel like I've checked my boxes. I really feel like I am happy with where my life is. And it's just because for me, I measure my success and everything against what is God's will and God's plan for me. And that is why I would really want us to pray and just commit ourselves to God, even the things we want to do. Because if we are doing it for God, then we have a deeper motivation. We have deeper support. We also have deeper, besides support system, we also have a deeper meaning for why we are doing it. All right, so do we want to go into small groups? Diana, is this a good idea? What do you think?
Actually, yeah.
From you? I know we are out of time already.
Yeah, I wanted to suggest, let's not break out into groups.
Okay.
I'm thinking we can just share here together so that we learn from each other.
So,
there are not very many of us, and then some of us are on transit. Like I know Mercy was traveling.
Okay.
So probably some of us are not going to be able to speak. But those who can speak, you can share. And then those who can't, you can share your comments on the chat, please. It will be nice to read. Yeah.
So let me just end the recording then. We just stop the recording and then we can just feel free to spot share, stop recording. Are you sure? Yeah.